So what are you worried about? Your finances, your health, maybe world peace? Forget about that nonsense. What we have to worry about is white supremacy, okay? That is the existential threat to America. We've been hearing that all week, for the past several months, actually, from the Biden administration, but they're really hitting it hard right now. This is their new Attorney General.
And in the FBI's view, the top domestic violent extremist threat we face comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race.
I've been talking to law enforcement sources both in and out of government, and they say this notion is ludicrous. This is ludicrous. The threat from white supremacy is essentially nil and has stayed the same level for several decades. I don't know about you, but I've noticed some gas lines lately, and I hear that they were orchestrated by Russian gangs in a cyber attack. That seems like a more immediate threat, but this one has some political mojo behind it.
Today, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists are the most likely to conduct mass casualty attacks against civilians, and anti-government or anti-authority violent extremists, specifically militia violent extremists, are the most likely to target law enforcement, government personnel, and government facilities.
DHS Secretary Mayorkas, a close associate of former President Obama and worked with the Obama administration, in the Obama administration. You remember Barack Obama, of course. He was the one who would not utter the phrase Islamic extremism. He would never even say it. But everybody's talking about white supremacy all the time. Wouldn't talk about that, which we all know was a very real threat, a very real thing. 9/11, anybody? We've been fighting wars over that. Now, white supremacy is everywhere. They're using it to achieve their political goals.
The threats posed by domestic violent extremism are often fueled by false narratives, conspiracy theories, and extremist rhetoric spread throughout social media and other online platforms.
Wow, false narratives, conspiracy theories. They're saying that about anything they don't agree with. If you have any questions just about the fairness of the last election, all right? If you raise issues about Joe Biden, they're going to throw you in that category. They really are doing it. Try to post something moderately controversial on Facebook these days about the election, and watch out. That's their excuse. They're using January 6th, okay? January 6th is the pretext. They've dramatized that. They've exaggerated it. They've sensationalized it. Remember, just one person was killed on January 6th. Trump supporter, unarmed Trump supporter, Ashley Babbitt. This is America. This is not a white supremacy country. We all can agree on that. Our culture has been anti-white supremacy for at least 100 years. Totally. All right? Yes, I know there are pockets here and there, but not anymore and not for a long time. You ever see the movie The Blues Brothers? It's actually one of my favorites. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. They had a great scene, and I think it summed up 40 years ago or so how Americans view white supremacy and neo-Nazis. Remember, they're driving around in that Cadillac, and what do they come across? A neo-Nazi rally in Illinois. Everybody goes wild because everybody hates neo-Nazis. I mean, this is just culturally accepted in America. I love it. Everybody hates neo-Nazis. I loved how they had the cop. He resented the neo-Nazis and they worked that stupid rally. That's how people feel across the board. Matt Walsh, a great conservative thinker on these topics, put this out. White supremacy is the most delusional and destructive moral panic in American history. We don't have a white supremacy problem in this country. There is no major white supremacist threat. This is being invented out of whole cloth by the media and the government. Absolutely. Diamond and Silk dropped by last night, two of my favorite people. They had something to say about this and that critical race theory nonsense.
What about all these people judging white people based on the color of their skin? And when you talk about this critical theory thing that they won't taught in the schools, right. I also think that that's dangerous. That's right. Why do you want black people living in the pains of their ancestors? Do you want white teachers to teach that? And then you have black people get offended, because we don't like the way you said that. If you want to know something about your history, how about the Democrats tell us about their history? How they didn't want slavery to end, how they brought in Jim Crow, how they brought in joining the KKK to intimidate, manipulate, and to dominate. If you want to teach our children something, teach them how to own businesses and turn them into corporations. Teach them how to join the 1% instead of staying in the 99%. That's what you can teach our young people.
So much power, so much truth from Diamond and Silk. And what do they portray Donald Trump as? What does the media try to pass him off as? This man is a white supremacist. This man is a white supremacist. There he is with those truth tellers, Diamond and Silk. Here he is with Lil Wayne. I know him. You know him. The American people did not elect a white supremacist or a neo-Nazi sympathizer in 2016. We know that. We also know that Donald Trump did better with black voters than any Republican in a very, very long time. And that scared a lot of people. Meanwhile, you know, it's kind of scaring me, making me pretty uneasy. And I think they can manipulate him into believing this fallacy. Joe Biden, he's very, very weak, and it's been noticed now around the world. I want to show you somebody. This is Alan Jones, a very prominent conservative thinker in Australia. He has a huge following in Australia, and this is what they're talking about down under.
And you mean to say this bloke Biden isn't cognitively delinquent? Have a listen to this. The President of the United States of America.
We have to do more than just build back better. We have to build back better. That we're not going to seek escalation.
Putting Biden in this position of leading the world's democracies is elder abuse. His incoherence is not new, but it surely can't go on. There will have to be a presidential resignation shortly.
Now, you can say that stuff in Australia. You can't say that in America, not even on Fox. After that speech that he pointed out, that we pointed out here on Newsmax, here's what Chris Wallace said about Joe Biden's speech over on Fox.
I think this is going to be a popular speech with the American public. He offered a lot of stuff. $4 trillion will buy a lot of stuff, from millions of jobs to child care to community health centers, all kinds of stuff, community colleges. And the other thing that's pretty popular is he said, you're not going to have to pay for it.
Chris Wallace seems to think that we're a bunch of children, easily fooled, non-observant children. Back to Australia, our friend down under.
Someone of significant note is going to have to tap this bloke on the shoulder and tell him he's got to go. The tragedy is the replacement is Kamala Harris. As big a disaster. Her own party didn't want her in the runoff for the Democratic nomination. She received 2% of the vote. If we don't think the free world is in a mess, we are bad students of the current international situation.
And what is that situation here and abroad? Well, number one, a border that is fully open, let's face it, to our south. We've got Israel on fire and crazy gas lines, huh? This is not good at all. And I think it's all directly tied to Joe Biden's lack of leadership and those who are manipulating him.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.